Good evening, televiewers. You're welcome to Prime Hour, the first edition of this week, an edition that is going to be looking at what some newspapers have been writing about the trending of succession in Africa from father to son, using the examples of Gabon, Togo, Chad, and a host of other African nations, asking the question as to why this aspect is trending amongst African states. We are looking at this with panelists this evening who are already seated. With me is Fabrice Lena, who is the Secretary General of the Popular Action Party. We're glad to have you.
Good evening, Sir Leo. Good evening to my co-panelists, and a special good evening to all the militants of the Popular Action Party nationwide, and especially to those of the Northwest and Southwest regions, and a special good evening to Mom and to all the people watching, to PAP fan base in Berlin, Germany. This is special good evening to you all for giving me a warm welcome that way. Thank you, Mr. Leo, for having me as your guest this evening.
We also in the company of Prince Obosso Pupu, who is the National Secretary General of the Frankie Citizen Movement for Peace and Unity, Cameroon. We're glad to have you.
Thank you very much, Leo. I use this opportunity to salute my fellow panelists. I want to say I'm happy once more to be here to talk about important issues as far as our geopolitics is concerned, and I want to use this opportunity to say special evening to my national coordinator, Mr. Alain Fidel Owona, and the rest of the Frankist militants nationwide, even in Europe and America. We continue to increase in number. I want to announce to you that yesterday we effectively rounded up to 2 million Frankists in the Cameroon and the international.
Okay.
Yeah.
We also are in the welcoming Dr. John Ako, who is a key actor of Cameroon's civil society and also a lecturer with some universities in Cameroon. Doctor, we are glad to have you with us this evening.
Yeah, once more, Leonard, equally a pleasure being with Obosso and Mr. Lena. I believe it is a pleasure sharing this platform with many other viewers in and out of Cameroon to brainstorm maybe on issues that have been disturbing the African continent. A lot will tell you that succession father-son is not a stereotype of the English people, but a hereditary character of the La Francophonie. And all the countries we might cite, out of 10 of them, 8 will be former French colonies. And then we ask why this particular euphoria when African youths that have been clamoring for change still believe that the son should continue after the father.
We also are expecting the arrival into our studio of Mr. Siaka Shuneh, representing the CPDM party on today's discussion on Prime Hour. Fabrice, then I will start with you. When we say trending father to son succession in Africa, what is happening 60 years after independence? Can we conclude that we are yet to actually grasp and live through democracy? Is it because the African democracy is still young, or it's just normal?
Well, Mr. Ali, I will start by saying that those who are promoting this agenda of father-son kind of leadership are those who do not believe in themselves and are weak and feeble-minded citizens of their countries, and should question their existence and should not even be part of political process, because those are the kind of people who consider themselves as subjects, want to remain subjects for the rest of their existence. We cannot understand how young people who should think of taking the leadership of their country themselves, of being at the helm of the country themselves, who should believe in limits of term mandates, who should believe in transformation and vision, should be promoting father-son succession. I think the case of Togo, with Yandema giving it to his son Faure, it's a situation that the Togolese people, we could say by 2005, were not yet at the point of understanding how this is going to be disastrous for their country. And that's why in the recent years of 2016, 17, 18, we've been seeing the manifestations nationwide in Togo asking for term limits to the constitution and asking foreign assembly to step down. With our neighboring countries in Central Africa sub-region, we've seen this same trend in Gabon. For me, I will first of all debunk the fact that it's trending. It is not trending. You know, it's not trending because it is some media that especially the print media, that are making these things to be trending, not actually that it is trending. And for us who do not believe in this process, we criticize those who actually think that this should be what should trend. Is that really what should trend? Is that what we should put out there? Is that what we should promote? Those are the questions we are asking ourselves. And if you are an African, be it in the media, in the civil society, or in politics where we belong, we think we should be looking at the side of putting term limits into constitutions and encouraging rather that countries should have rotatory presidencies and not father to son transitions.
Yeah, but I'm not sure they are saying that it is trending, that this is what ought to be. They are saying, they are using this situation of course, we know, Mr. Leo, that
these are situations that call for consent, and it should galvanize everyone to fight against, because they are not using the right means to establish these conditions. They are not using the right means. They are using unconstitutional means. They are using irregular elections. They are using on very, very clandestine methods.
Okay.
The case of Cameroon, for example, 2008 constitutional amendment for the removal of term limit in the Cameroon constitution was completely clandestine. The parliament was subjugated under pressure, and even those who rejected the voting of this bill were intimidated, others were arrested, others were bribed. Evidences were made clear by this same Guardian Post newspaper in 2008.
Except that the situation cited has not happened in Cameroon. They are using,
and that is what some of the newspapers are writing, which we say that we will not allow it to happen.
Yeah, they are using Togo, Gabon, Chad, and
then they are looking at the possibility with Cameroon.
I don't see the relation with what you just cited, removal of term limit.
That's where it begins. That's where it begins. When a president makes himself to stay in power for life, it means the person wants to establish a dynasty. That's what happened in Togo, and removal of term limit is a great indicator of
but what happened in
continuity.
Togo, what happened in Togo is the fact that the father died.
Even in Chad, it's the same thing, because in 2006 Chad did the same thing with constitutional amendments, which made Idriss Déby to be the Marshal, the life president, that his son is able to take over. So when the constitutional term limit is removed already,
are you sure that is what actually took place in Togo? And
it is already an indicator.
Are you sure that is what actually took place in Togo?
We'll go deep into the conversations, Mr. Liu.
I understand that when Eyadema died, something was done. When he died, there was nothing that provided for his son. Something was done, like what happened in Chad. We saw who was normally supposed to take power, but something was also done when he died.
My question is, what was done? Was it a right thing to do? That's the question.
Yeah, but let's give the right information to the audience. Yes, the Frankist guys, you people think that it is normal to hand power to to move power from father to son?
It's not about father to son. I want us to move away from that box of father to son and look at things the way they are supposed to be. Lena just mentioned here that presidents are putting mechanisms to win and stay in power, then pass it to their sons. We just had the senatorial elections in Northwest and the Southwest. What happens to the opposition? Please, I'm tired of what we call le petit parti politique. Njange parties. We are tired of an opposition which is not structured. Opposition that don't have a vision. They don't want to work. They think that power is to come on media and begin to rant. Power is not media. Power is not television. Power is door to door. We have how many parties in Cameroon? More than 200. And the whole of the Southwest and the Northwest, there is no single party that can stand and present a candidate for the senatorial election. And you come and tell me what you people want to take the supreme when you are not even structured at the base. You think that politics is social media or it's grammar. Politics na number, door to door. And that is what we the Frankists were doing now. I said I am glad to announce here, I'm not boasting, I'm the Secretary General of this movement. We clocked 2 million Frankists net. I just talked with the delegate for the Southwest region. 300 people have added before the end of this evening. 300 people. Okay? We are in the field. Politics na number. Okay? So I want to make it clear. It's not about father, son. It's about political parties and candidacy. When you look at the strength of the CPDM, let's be realistic. If the CPDM decide to invest in Frambia, what happens? He wins. Whether his father, the President of the Republic, says no. If the CPDM says, Mr. Pa, if you are not going again, we prefer to work with this candidate. Any candidate that the CPDM chooses. I'm talking as a CPDM militant. That is my party. The Frankists is just a movement. My party is a CPDM. If my party decide to endorse any candidate, the candidate wins. Because CPDM is door to door. I saw Lena last time in Limbe doing door to door, trying to tell the people to register. That is what you should do. But you are still very far from the target. Okay. You have a lot of work to do.
Yeah, you are talking more about Frankies. We are looking at the fact that sons are taking over from their fathers in Africa, and at times the method of even succeeding the father does not respect the constitution.
What is not respected?
I'm not talking about the situation of.
No, I want to talk about Gabon and
no.
Togo.
Yes, let's talk Togo and Chad.
And Chad.
Yes.
Ali Bongo went through the ballot box. I don't know what you want me to say.
No.
Ali Bongo has a party.
I'm talking about Iyadema and the situation in Chad.
The situation in Chad, the Marshal, it is the be it no, died at war front. The country is on the state of emergency. Political scientists will explain it to you better.
They have to twist the
when the country is in the state of emergency, institutions, Republican institutions cannot work. The military has to secure the territorial sovereignty of the state. The military has to secure the territorial sovereignty of the state.
The case in Togo was similar. Something was touched in the constitution when the president at the time died, the father of the current president.
So what was touched?
The constitution.
There was no election.
It came after the constitution was touched. Yes. Let me come to doctor. Yes. But somebody is writing me, Prince Obosso.
Yes.
He's writing from Boya. He says, "Good evening, Mr. Leo and panelists. I really need to be part of the Frankist movement. Let's have this number, please. So long as the succession is a young man."
We are increasing on daily basis.
Please. I'm reading this to ask whether I should share a number with them.
Share with them. We are increasing minute by minute, by second.
Please, it's okay.
We are increasing.
I'll share.
Before midnight will be 400.
I already just.
The delegate will tell me Mr. Eji, we are 400 increase. Thank you.
Doctor, yes, but Doctor, when we see this phenomenon, it happened, and if not of the situation that occurred in Libya, because we saw Gaddafi was already preparing the son to take over, and the case of Egypt, Hosni Mubarak was also prepared. Is it a fact, this mentality that we are kingdoms in Africa, that persons want to transpose that to governing a national life?
We are not kingdoms. Cameroon is not a kingdom. Togo is not a kingdom. Gabon is equally not a kingdom. Talk less of Chad, that is under military tyranny now. One of the things I would like to respond a lot there, Prince Obosso, I want him to equally maybe take a bit of pulse and know that when we have occultic groups, membership too is increasing. A lot of occultic groups have registered an increase in number. It doesn't give us the impression that it was a positive group. Good. Yes, it depends on the ideology of the side which you have chosen and the coin you are about defending. And the sadness in Africa is that the youths whom yesterday cried loudly that it is not going well for all, today thinks and still thinking of positioning, and that it is time for them to continue in the quagmire and equally reap the fruits of their own labor. That is why they have recruited a lot. And he should equally know that elections that are organized by those who are in power has never been feasible in placing their children. And that, including the SDF, the CPDM, are not on the same trail, on the same strength. You know, all those who rule and in administrative offices talk in the name of the President of the Republic on high instructions, you are aware. And so when they use such state institution, state money, Cameroonian taxes to maintain and curtail some of you more become very attractive when we present the language. It is a constitutional right for Frambia to become the president. What we need to know, Cameroonians should feel that belonging. We need to see your leader present his own option, not what you people do, not you people doing the presentation. For some people who have been prepared to take over after the father, we should even notice that somewhere there was a burial and this particular person presented himself. That 2 Cameroonians were involved in an accident, there was a fire incident, there were bad roads somewhere, some Cameroonians were not going to school, some have been stuck in Turkey, in Syria, in Antigua, and this particular son of ours responded. We need to see the active nature of the future leader, those one we are trying to protect and maybe bring forth. Succession is not evil if such is under the will of the people, but not when legitimacy is faltered. You become, because you were in the party, you are in the party, and later they voted you. There is no election that will tell you that such an individual was legitimate. If the civilian vote by acclamation, we have been saying the father is a leader since after they debunked CNU. But that does not mean that the CPDM party is a legitimate party. So many Cameroonians still maintain that Cameroonians are still and are still being in the position of thinking that the CNU still remains in power. You will witness that, you might have discussed that after all senatorial seats were gained by the CPDM, many Cameroonians still say, we are back into the one-party system, which means CNU or CPDM, there is just no difference. Succession in Africa has been a problem because many are thinking that after wallowing in a system for 60 years, President Pobia became a state active agent at 27 before chosen by somebody from the north for him to become the next president, the prime minister of this country. It was not because Ayijo never had his own children. Why do we cry for a president that might not suit Cameroonians? Leadership of a nation will always do for those who have the vision for the nation, not for those whose parents have a positioning option for them. Cameroonians and everyone throughout the world. Yes, it is right. You have seen in the United States, Hillary Clinton trying to become president and many other relations and the rest. But it should be the will of the people and not a manipulated opinion like I believe the Frankists are using. When you watch Obosso here, he has called the CPDM party more than the times he has called the Frankist movement. So you may equally ask, mean indirectly, that the Frankist movement and the CPDM movement are allied or they are working under the same name. Yeah, so when I think, please, it is not a hidden, I've not said hidden.
Please.
We have an option there. Let Cameroonian know.
He has a party.
Let's
Didn't
have,
you see him with the CPDM?
Please.
When he went to the north?
Please.
Show that photo.
We are asking.
Somebody wore the party. He has his party.
Do you mean the Frankist movement is a CPDM?
What you should understand
you are a secretary of the party. Simple. Let's continue.
Of a movement, not a
Frankist is a CPDM.
Frankist is not a CPDM.
So
please.
One of the things I want to please, Mr. Leo, it's okay. He interrupted me. And at times it's not really necessary. We are here to exchange ideas. You need to tell Cameroonians that the Frankist movement is a brainchild of the CPDM, and so we move with the two, so that we should know that it is not even a CPDM militant should know
it is
that
not.
They are free to tweak the cat.
It is
of
not
the Frankist movement.
It is
and
not
wait for Frankists to cover all over the table.
Frankist is
that
not
all
CPDM.
members of the CPDM should become members of the Frankists.
Frankist is not CPDM.
No, you have called. I'm just telling you that you have called the name when you were given time to speak. You have spoken more of the CPDM than the Frankists.
Frankist encompasses.
Please.
Let me just come in and clear.
No. Please. Doctor, you have spoken for 5 minutes. You have not answered my question. Let me ask that question too. But the question is, we saw, if not that the former Libyan guide was taken out of power, he was preparing a son to take over from every indication. Hosni Mubarak was also doing same. Do we conclude that it is a gene in Africans, because we have kingdoms, to want to prepare and stay forever? That is our legacy, is for our sons to continue.
That's not the case, Mr. Liu. All what is happening in these African countries you cited, it's as a result of a system that has stayed for long. Okay. I always say that when a singular person, party, and organization overstays its welcome in the political scene, it becomes a nuisance to the people. That's the case of the CPDM party in Cameroon. That's the case of the party of Yandema in Togo. That's the case of the party of Ali Bongo in Chad. That's the case of Idriss Déby's party in Chad, Ali Bongo's party in Gabon. These are political parties that were transformed because most of these countries were run in the one-party systems after the 1960s. Majority of these countries were in one-party system, and because of multipartism, they were forced to bring in other parties in the 90s and early 2000s. And most of these countries have never really had multi-party politics, like the case of Cameroon. You know, sometimes Senior Barrister Achu and other barristers always claim that CPDM is an illegal party operating without a reference number of registration under the 1990 laws. And sometimes we political pundits think about these things because it is the reality of what we are seeing in the country. They are trying to fabricate another brainchild, another organization again, in order to start telling us, like Obosso is here telling us they have this number of militants is increasing on daily basis, is doing it, is doing that. I don't think we are here for political propaganda. We are here to exchange ideas and educate Cameroonians. Don't come here and start making political propaganda and telling people how it is the Frankist movement. If CPDM decide on this is what will happen. Please, you cannot predict the political future of any society as an individual in that society, because you don't know what will happen in the next minute. You might always have this arrogant superiority complex of underestimating other people. There are small political parties, there are this and that. You are the very people that are encouraging undemocratic practices that do not respect democratic values. Simple meetings of these political parties, you ban them. You have appointive system from the presidency right up to the municipalities that do not permit for anybody to compete with you. There is no leverage, there is no equal competition when it comes to election and electoral process in Cameroon. Like one writer cited, Every year, after every 7 years, Paul Biya will organize some kind of things called election to maintain and sustain himself in power. That is what you are here proud of, and telling people that you have everything, you have people. You Cameroonians are following you by grudging compliance. They have no choice, and this is because some of these people who are following you have no principle, they have no values, they have no self-respect, they have no self-esteem, they have lost the honor, they are completely disillusioned about the way you function and about the way things are in this country. And that is why they think that to survive, because you have forced Cameroonians to be on survival, you have forced the people of Africa to be on survival. We do not want you to preach the message of forcing citizens to believe in what you think is the best for the people. Put the rules equal to everyone. Make the ground level for everyone. Do not appoint Elekam officials. Do not appoint constitutional council heads. Let their party chairman not appoint those people. Let's see how the game will look like. Let these people not be intimidated or bribed. Do not come to these small political parties and ask them to join your party. You know, because
he responded, and now you are responding.
He made a clear attack. I tried to answer your question, Mr. Leo. Why you said we will not belabor it too much. It is the things that we know. We are talking about the realities of our society because we want to better fix Cameroon, and we should let people know.
So how do we
are fixing the country by telling the people to choose between integrity, patriotism for the country, and politicians or some kind of people who have hype state resources, and they come to the media, carry out propaganda, make outrageous statements without any verifications on numbers. Where is the statistics of political parties and numbers of candidates registered in Cameroon political parties taught, Mr. Obosso? Are you not ashamed that as the Secretary General of your party, you come to a platform and you are saying, if this person is the candidate, if that person is the candidate, you should believe in yourself, you should be proud of yourself, you should stand to defend. Let's go on a fair competition on politics. That is what politics is about. Competitive politics, not to come and be preaching and praising a singular person in power for 40 years. It should be a shame for you, my brother. And from your educational background and culture, I'm not expecting you to be a supporter of this kind of motion. It's alarming. I'm surprised by this. Seriously, we should be thinking about the foundation of Cameroon with integrity.
Yeah, but he has a right to his opinion.
Of course, that is what I'm saying. I'm ashamed of his. He has the right.
How can you be ashamed?
No, but of course, it is alarming, Mr. Leo, at this time when Cameroonians are thinking that we should put the foundation of a new Cameroon.
Put your points across.
Of a new Cameroon. No. He started by saying we are small political parties. That's very offensive, and I don't take that lightly. CPDM had stopped more than how many times our political party actions. PAP is rooted in the national territory of this country, but you people don't allow us to function.
Please, Fabrice,
using our taxpayers' income.
Fabrice, please. Good evening to you, Musa Mohammed, and to you, Councillor Ngwa. Good evening to you, Kizi Love and Yiwiri Christian, and to all of you watching us on our social media handle. We are forced to go to our BT Media page away from my Media Prime page, because for a very long time we discovered that our videos were actually restricted. There are so many problems to be sorted out from there because of reasons that are technical regarding the way Facebook functions. But now, Prince Obosso Epopu, you think that it is just normal for a son to take over from the father as president of the republic, provided he follows constitutionally established procedure?
Thank you once more, Leo. I want to say it clear. It is democratically correct for a purely Republican state for any Cameroonian to vie in, go to the ballot box and win the elections. Okay? Cameroon is not a banana republic where we'll get up one morning and hear that Fram Biya is president. I mean, President Biya is one of the most respected presidents in the world, a man of integrity and pedigree. He said he is not preparing a successor, and he is serious with that. President Biya is not preparing a successor. Cameroonians should get that straight. Frank Biya did not ask us to create the Frankist movement. It is an initiative that is coming from the people and the youths of this country. We did not seek his opinion to do what we are doing. We have investigated him and many other youths. In our list, he came out first. And we decided that, okay, with the Frankists, what is the ideology of the Frankist movement? The ideology of the Frankist movement is to encourage youths get into political positions. In that reflection, we needed a youth, a frontline youth for the office of the president. And after due investigations carried out in the field, we realized that we need a youth that understands the corridors of power. We need a youth that is highly respected, that has a personality, that has an address. We need a youth that is not poor. We need a youth that has proven to be successful away from public treasuries. And when we look at Frank Biya, he meets those criteria. He has never worked in government. He has not gained anything from our state public treasuries. He has his private business. It's true, as his father is the president, he might open many doors for himself. Who will not do that? Leo, even you will do that. Yes. He did not beg to be Bia's son. It is God who said, I will give you an able father. Mine is of late. His own is alive. We glorify God. Okay? Frank Biya did not ask us to create this movement. This movement is an ideology that is coming purely from the youths of Cameroon. Purely from the youths of Cameroon. And we did not seek his opinion. Lena just mentioned here that we are financed. Who is financing who? We are financing the Frankists from our pockets. We are financing the Frankists from our pockets.
You will prove that to the public.
Why not? I can show you. I am the Secretary General. There is auditing, there is accounting, there is treasury, there is financial secretary. We are well organized. I can show you we are.
Yeah, but excuse me, Prince.
Yes.
Please. Now, the question to you is, I expect sincerely, we are here to educate Cameroonians here. Nobody is talking about how Adema became president, whether he did not respect the constitutionality of taking over the father. Nobody is talking about the case in Chad. Nobody is talking about Ali Bongo. We are talking about Frank Biya, who has not even become president. That is not what we are here to discuss? I ask you a question. That for you, whatever happens, once the constitution is respected, it's okay for you.
When the constitution is respected, it is okay. What does the constitution say in Cameroon? If the president is not there, the president of the Senate takes over. If I'm not mistaken, it should be for 90 days. After that, he organizes election. Each political party presents their candidate. We have been calling Frank. Frank has a party, which is the CPDM. We are doing the mobilization in the field as a movement. For even the CPDM militants to see that no, this our comrade is already popular. A movement has been created by people he did not even ask. So let him come in as the candidate. That is what we are hoping. That is what we are wishing. It is not yet certain. We have other prospective candidates within the CPDM. So it is about each party presenting their candidates. And they will go to the ballot box. And if Cameroonians deem it necessary that Frank Biya is the correct and rightful person to manage the situation in which we find ourselves, they will vote for him.
Okay. Mr. Leo, please tell Mr. Epupu that 2025 will tell Paul from Bamenda. Okay. 2025 will tell. Paul is writing from Bomenda. Good evening, Mr. Liu and panelists. I really need to be part of the Frankist movement. Let me have that number. Okay, good evening
The fire.
to you. Please. Just. Okay, good evening, Mr. Liu. Please, for Prince Obosso's number. Prince.
Give them my number. Give them my number.
Okay. Hello, good evening, Mr. Liu. I'm Taximan Serge in Boya. Let me say that we, the youth in Cameroon, want to be involved fully in politics, but because of the policy of the father to son, we are highly discouraged to join the politics. Electoral policies in Cameroon is made up to favor one man, the president, on seat. Please greet my fellow passenger, the great Mr. Fabrice Lena, whom I had the opportunity to meet him one-on-one when I carried him in my taxi. Very simple man, Mr. John Ako. We greet you, okay? The taxi man is writing from Boya. Good evening, Mr. Leo. Please, I would like to have the PAP man's number. Cliff is writing from Ngaundere. Good evening to you, Cliff. Good evening, my media prime. Truly politics is number door to door, but not going door to door, bribing and intimidating people. You have made poor. Is the author of this Frankist movement. Not understanding. Chuang Fon, Merrick is writing from Boya. Good evening to you, Mr. Leo. Nice following your program. It's really educative. I'm really a member of the Frankist party. To be sincere, the statement of the party secretary general is not too good for us now. Okay, you can be of a different party. Leslie is writing from Boya. Yes, tone down a bit. Good evening, Mr. Liu and panelists. No matter how much people talk and due to credit and intransigent of the regime in place, anything can be possible. Richard is writing from Bamenda. Okay. Father-son succession is to protect the evil persons who are stealing our money. Okay. Now, Doctor, we are talking about succession, father to son. Let's look at the opposition in Africa. We saw the son of Wa, who was coming up powerfully, though he got himself involved in some nasty things that kicked him away. Let's take the case of the current president of the DRC. His father, yes, his father was there, and then he's there. I mean, the case of the DRC, the former president took over from the father. To say that this is also even within, is it a gene that sons want to take after the steps of the fathers? And what is wrong if a son is inspired to rule a nation? Is it also proper to say because your father was president, you should be barred from doing so?
Yeah, for one reason, I believe Africans somewhere, there is that spirit of greed.
Okay.
Greed has killed a lot of African countries. And one of it, you have seen, like you just cited, Tshisekedi took over the party of the father after the father's demise, meaning there was nobody again. It's just like you saw the struggle in the synagogue church in Nigeria. After the death of TB Joshua, the wife becomes the owner of the property of the church. And so the trend goes where parents believe that they have gained a lot, and if they allow the gain they have made, it might be seized from them. I'm telling you this honestly. A lot of people became very rich after President Ahmadou Ahidjo left power. Some failed to declare the properties of Ahmadou Ahidjo, and a lot will do that if President Paul Biya leaves Cameroon. There is that fear within the ruling class. That is the same in Togo. That is the same when you talk of the heritage in Gabon. If the son of Mabongo took over, was to protect the father's heritage. The heritage was not the country. The heritage are the properties they have secured and amassed for close to 40 years. And they believe that any other person coming up, they will be in difficulties. I want you to learn what is going on presently in Angola. After the father left and the sons that were in government were even kicked out by a candidate selected by the father to represent the party. But I want to tell you that up to now, there have been no conflict between the father and the ruling or sitting president. because he has his own name to write in the books, the history of that nation, which means a lot of the sons of the former president have been indicted for corruption charges.
Dos Santos.
Yes, Dos Santos. A lot of the children have been arrested and questioned for amassing wealth which does not belong to them, but their father is still alive. And somewhere, some people think that they are junior politicians. It will be time for them to sit too in their old shoes and continue management and continue protecting what they have. We have said it several times. When you start having motion of support, it is not president sitting who asks people to write. I want to tell you what happened in Niger. The first motion of support that came to the former president in Niger, all of them were arrested and sent to prison because the sitting president said, these are the criminals. They want me to continue sitting, violate the constitution, so that they will continue amassing in their own ways. Yes. If we have such leadership that can single out that your supporters, most often, those who support the heritage of the ruling elite, are the highest criminals, we should indict first. Anybody that goes for a political campaign and they sit, most of them tell you the people of Menchum, 6 people sat and used the name of the whole division and write a letter that they want the head of state to stand. And it moves. We just simply need to pick all those signatories and send them to prison. Cameroon will be very clean. Africa will be very clean. Anybody that support an acting president where hunger for 60 years has not been resolved, where unemployment has not been resolved, good drinking water, 60 years after independence, we have not seen water. Hospitals, the individuals consult abroad. On which balance sheet do you support that such a government should continue? Where are own schools? And the one we graduate, please, Mr. Leo, the people who train internally, we don't recruit. We recruit those who come abroad with certificates.
But how do we justify that the people no longer need this president? Maybe by you, the people don't need him by elections approving otherwise.
Mr. Leo, if you go by way of election in Africa, you got it wrong. We just saw the Nigerian election that ended. The two of us got frustrated because the name Tinubu has been now likened to a demonic name in Nigeria, where people use on sketch play to say the president they have. If you even watch the press, they say they are not even sure of his health to even take office next month. Just imagine. But then he was voted. In Cameroon, we have seen people voted even when they were not aware of their candidacy in the next election. That's what happened with a lot of parties. Since they have worked for the party, it is my own turn. Meaning serving a nation becomes a family program. It is my turn, not the wish of the people. That you have seen. Tinubu said that. And even in Gabon, they simply, we were told that no matter what how they call him, the opposition leader, Jean-Ping, that he will never become the president. When such declarations are made in the open, where then is the position of the opposition in such nation? Look at the situation in Chad. The constitution present for the Senate president or the National Assembly president to take over. The father died the next day the child was sworn in with a lot of military control. And then you have a colonial leader coming to assist in the inauguration. Is that the will of the people?
Okay. Good evening, Mr. Leo. Good topic. I would like to have Mr. Obosso's number. Mark is writing from Bonaberi. Good evening to you, Mark. This one says, good evening to the panelists and televiewers. I write to you in reference to the topic of the day. And to be honest with you, those talking, they need to be ashamed of themselves, okay? This is absolute stupidity, okay? Good evening, Mr. Leo and your panelists. The guy in Fabric has spoken best on the topic. How many councils does the Frankist movement control that want to rule Cameroon? Forcing Frank Biya as president will further fragment the CPDM and will do more harm than good, okay? Good evening, Mr. Leo. Frank Biya did not ask Obosso to create the movement as he responded to their call. Chelsea is writing from Bamenda. Good evening to you, Mr. Leo, and your panelists. I want to ask Prince, what has Frank Biya ever done in the political landscape of Cameroon that he feels he can be? Prince Will is writing from Bamenda. Yes, but the issue is not Frank Biya here. Frank Biya.
We have a member here.
Good evening, Mr. Leo. Is Regan from Abu Dhabi? Can you tell? Okay.
If you look, people want to talk about Cameroon, Togo, Gabon.
Yes, but Fabrice Lena. if Frank Biya says he wants to be president of the country, what is wrong in that?
There's nothing wrong in that, Mr. Leo. No one has said anything is wrong with that.
Why is it
we are looking at many factors here.
Okay.
We are looking at the constitution. We are looking at international partners. We are looking at Cameroonian people, you know.
What part of the constitution does that violate?
The most important element of a state that constitutes a state is the population. That's the people. And the will of the people is what makes the sovereignty of the state.
Okay.
And the constitution of Cameroon was drawn in 1996 in the spirit of the struggles that heralded between 1990 right up to 1994 with the different events that took place in that era that led to the birth of the 1996 constitution. That constitution, Mr. Leo, if it were protected in all its facets, Cameroon will not even have the Anglophone crisis or the multiple problems we're having today. It is the gradual violation of this constitution, one after the other, that has led us to this multiple problem we're having today. And then it has led us to have a complete distrust of the president and the president's son. There is a saying in Africa, they say that a plum tree cannot give birth to a mango tree. There are countries where father-son succession have not posed a lot of problem because some children come up and try to do it differently from their father. This is the case with DRC. When Desiree Kabila died and Joseph Kabila at the age of 29 came to power,
are you talking for the PAP or for Cameroonians?
He struggled to do. Mr. Leo, when you ask me question, allow me to develop the point, because you are really making me to have mixed up ideas.
No, please.
Because I'm trying to talk about. I'm trying to talk about the thing you asked me. At the same time, you are bringing again another.
It should make sense because you say Cameroonians. Are you saying that CPDM militants are not Cameroonians? Or you are saying
when Opopo was saying that we the youth of Cameroon
I struggled to take him away from Frank.
On whose name is he talking as youth of Cameroon? I'm a youth of Cameroon. I will never support what he's trying to say.
He's talking on behalf of the Frankists.
Good. I'm talking on behalf of PAP and PAP militants.
Okay, go on.
You should know that.
That's not your problem. Go on.
Mr. Leo, when I come to your platform as Secretary General of Popular Action Party, therefore I'm representing Popular Action Party and its sympathizers. That's why yes, that is the first thing you should know.
Okay.
And then when I'm talking, it is to call on those who don't yet know the agenda of the PAP, the ideology of the PAP, the leadership of the PAP to adhere. That is it. You cannot talk on behalf of a country when you are not the president. The president is the CEO of a country. He is the person who is the first citizen of the country. He can talk on behalf of the country, but neither myself or Opopo here or Doctor can talk on behalf of Cameroon. We can only represent organizations in Cameroon. So that said, I was saying that when we look at the constitution of Cameroon, it has been violated so much. The evidence is there. The worst violation of Cameroon constitution is 2008. If Mr. Biya had to be in power for his 7 years renewable ones, and by 2011, as many of the people in his own party who were aspiring to be leaders, were planning that we will have 2011 presidential election without Pobia, Cameroon should have been ushered to a different era, and it could have avoided these problems of transition we are seeing today. Transition with Son came up because he removed the term limit in the constitution. Because once the president removes term limit in the constitution, citizens start to think, what is the way forward? And over time, it gives power to the president's family to be able to amass wealth, to amass resources, to have unaccounted for materials that permits them to be at a certain level. If you listen to Opopo, he was talking about what? They are looking at the youth that have money. How can... Give him my correct names. Mr. Obosso. Okay, Obosso. Yeah, let me use that, Obosso. I was sorry for wrongly pronouncing your name. That's not good. I'm saying that you mentioned the fact that you were looking for a rich young person or someone
I
who
said
has money.
somebody who is not poor.
Who has money. That
Who
was your
is not
statement.
poor. That is what I said. Who is not poor. Because
That
you
is-
cannot be poor and you want to be president.
That is the worst measurement of leadership.
No. We
You
don't.
cannot measure somebody on material wealth.
No.
On poverty.
No.
That is wrong.
You cannot.
Mr. Obosso.
You cannot be
it is-
wretched. You cannot be wretched and you want. You must.
This is
you
the
must,
language
you
that
must be doing
Cameroonians-
good for yourself.
Mr. Opopo,
Leonard-
doing good for oneself has nothing to do with money.
No. When
It has nothing to do with material wealth.
Be rich.
You said must not be poor.
He must not be poor. How can you take a poor person who is still hungry?
The worst thing you made here was that the ideology of Francis movement is looking at young people.
When you are
No,
very
there's nothing like that, but this is the
what
propaganda you are
you want
using.
to bring to us?
This is the propaganda you guys use. It's very wrong.
Fabrice,
The ideology.
I go ahead. I'm a winner.
So
I don't work with mediocre people who have failed.
Who is a fair person?
I work with success.
The person who has embezzled money, subjugated people to
From which
Fabrice.
From which conference?
No, please,
Have you ever worked in your government?
Please,
I'm trying to
please.
respect the moderator
Please,
because it's appalling.
No. You now see once you start going out, I want to bring you back. You think that we should just be talking, and it lands us to where we are now.
No, but it's good.
Please.
It's good we exchange these ideas.
It's okay.
Because
It's
it's not
okay.
a bad thing. I'm just trying
We
to
want
But
well to
people in the house cannot follow.
We want well-to-do people who have proven in their private lives to be successful. I follow success.
calm down. Just be calming down.
I'm a winner.
Calm down.
That
On
is
what
me.
criteria are you a winner?
I'm Obosso. I move ahead.
What do you mean?
I don't work
What's
with
the
failure.
measurement? What is the parameter?
I don't work
You
with
don't
failure.
declare yourself and they have a lot of.
I'm a winner.
This is the kind of arrogance that will make you people not to manage.
You are just crying. You are just crying.
2025
You are
is
just
not for
crying.
you.
It's the ABC model. They just cry.
are going
They
to
just
sit-
play.
you are going
They
to-
just complain. What are you doing?
It is not the issue of
What are
complaint.
people doing?
I am working on the field. You
Obosso,
acknowledge my work on the field. I was in
please,
Libya
Obosso.
mobilizing people. I
Obosso.
go to Marwa mobilizing people.
Please,
Your own
Obosso,
is to wear
please.
good suit, come and sit on a TV platform. I am winner. I'm successful. On what criteria, Mr. Obosso? Cameroon after Paul Biya will not be managed by people like you.
Please. What is this now? Is this how you want to rule Cameroon?
No, but he should.
Please.
We're going to have.
I'm going back.
Politicians will have to sit and
please.
deliver what they have to give to the people. And that time will come where we will compete on equal basis.
I'm taking the mic from you guys to Dr. Ako. Can we listen to Dr. Ako? Doctor, it happened in Togo. It happened in Gabon. It happened in DRC when Kabila was killed before the father took over in Chad, but it did not work in Libya and in Egypt because of the Arab Spring. Now, are these things not also happening because the people allowed it? They gave their blessing passively, or they were helpless? Take the case of Gabon.
Yeah, one thing you need to know is that he who is in power defines the politics.
Okay.
And it gets on with the saying that once a constitution has been revised, like that of Cameroon, and gives unlimited presidential mandate, it only leaves us with a second thought that this man has intention to die in power. If he can't die in power, then the other person will continue. And people will come again to defend that it was constitutionally right. And this is where we are. When we come here, you realize the situation in Congo, Democratic, the son took over immediately after the father was assassinated, that Joseph Kabila. But remember the response Congolese gave him again when he wanted to revise the same constitution and stay again internally. It was avoided. When you have the Catholic Church play a predominant role in the Congo, and he did not go in for the third term. Now somewhere, you find in Togo, succeeding quietly. They have failed in Gabon. Equally in Chad, they have succeeded. People are telling you that they should organize election in Chad. And in one platform I responded, elections in dictatorial regimes and la francophonie has never mattered. there is just one country in Africa with a French experience that is turning things otherwise. That's Senegal. Remember, the son of the former president wanted also to come over, but it was not possible. The one that led before Macky Sall.
Yes. I cited the situation of opposition.
Good.
You are talking about the son of Abdoulaye Wade.
What? So you imagine the stiff opposition that he encountered. It's because such a political structure like that in Senegal has been drafted in a way that it was going to be very difficult for Abdoulaye Wade to insert the son. But that was his intention. He wanted the child to equally come in through election. But then the Senegalese said, it is not possible. You are going to leave and we will choose our candidate. That is why you have a conscious generation of people who care much for their nation, people who have the belonging and the vision of what a nation should look like. But when you go on the other side, you see, I'm happy that Prince Obosso mentioned hunger, that people who are hungry can never come to power. And I will tell him it is the reason why Africa is the way it is. Because those who have amassed power used the poor as laboratory rats to oppress and intimidate. And intimidation is yielding fruits. We have seen people who simply march in the roads of Douala and Yaoundé. Some are still in prison. Remember 2018, MRC members are still in prison. Who will go and march again? We have seen increase in prices of fuel. Food commodities have gone up. Cameroonians are telling you that everybody for himself, God for us all. So if you get up, you meet food on your table, you eat. This is the type of government which people support father to son, and that people should keep on supporting, because the son will carry on after the father, and that it is stable. One of the things I'm happy here with Prince Obosso is telling Cameroonians and those who are daring that the Frankist movement does not belong to Frambia. And so those who are joining, because Frambia is a candidate, should know that it's a lie. And happy again, he made a second point, that Frambia is a member of the CPDM. And so he'll be running under the banner of the CPDM. They are simply begging him to take their banner. But since they are still a movement, not a political party yet, there is even no need we should be talking about him as a political contender. So even they themselves are simply, we call them syndicate movement. They are looking to promote the name of Frambia, not even to run, because the Frankist movement is not a political party, so he will never run under the banner. Exactly. We are happy at that information. And that's the information I'm telling you. Exactly. Sell the idea of the platform which you represent. And don't let Cameroonians confuse between CPDM. We are not there defending Frank, because otherwise the association Frankist movement would have been Frank Joshua movement and not Frank Emmanuel Bia. Stop putting that image. That's what you have given us here today. You are making a popularity for a name, which is your group, and the other person is not a member. He's a CPDM. We like such information so that many Cameroonians will hold it on. And somewhere, when we take on Africa, when the parents are living on, we need to see, I say constitutionally, when you look at David and Harry at the United Kingdom, you know already that one person is being trained to take over leadership. There is a moment, the modus operandi, there is a lot of curriculum that somebody who is going to take after another person gets into schooling. They even serve in the police, in the army, serve the nation at charity centers. In Cameroon here, we are still waiting. In Africa, we don't. A lot of them live flamboyant lifestyle in California, Arizona. Then on the eve, they come and become vice president. Remember the situation of in Guinea, Equatorial Guinea. The son owned a lot of buildings at his age. He owns treasures in France. And that's what France is doing to intimidate the father, that we have to seize them. The same with the family in Gabon. Ali Bongo Dimba abandoned the father's heritage in France and said it had been given to the Gabonese people as Gabonese property because it was built by the father. You can imagine such psychology. People who have amassed wealth and failed to carry out best social amenities for the people. Common hospital, paracetamol we buy from the pharmacy. The government doesn't have a hand in giving basic drugs in hospital. We still go on that the father should take after. Look at a country like Chad, a country wealthy in oil, but everywhere you have rebel movement. When the rebel come in Jamina, we negotiate. And those are the same rebel that were freed some few months ago. People you accuse of killing your father, you make sympathy and reconcile with them by getting them free. That's the type of leadership which we hate. If you should kill a Cameroonian, including the son or daughter of the President of the Republic, the laws of this nation should figure you as a Cameroonian, as per the law. We cannot be going into a parental heritage where justice system manipulates or functions with the mind of the leader. That is not a nation. Okay. A nation which is going to be led by any other person, the person should have the same vision and even presentation with the opportunities of the people.
Okay.
Whether from Chad, from Angola, I'm just explaining you a lot of those things.
Okay. Good evening, Leo. I see why we have a problem in Cameroon. The two young men on your platform just paints a nice picture to dismiss young people from leadership. Pride is evident in what they say. When they keep saying they are being selfish. Eating well today is good leadership. Okay. Good evening, Mr. Leo. The method of argument is already telling us how bad Cameroon may be if we get a president from any of those parties represented by those arguing there. Cameroon should be very careful when the president is no longer in power. We might see worse. Please, can Dr. Ako just suggest which party is suitable to present a candidate after Paul Biya, because Dr. Ako speaks wisdom. Best man is writing from Douala. Now, Prince, when you say you need a youth who is poor, who is not poor, to lead this nation, are you saying that someone who is from a very humble background with a wonderful ideology, who can take the nation forward, should not be given the opportunity? The current president of the Republic himself, His Excellency President Paul Biya, I'm sure he's from a very humble background. What if Cameroonians, the former president said, okay, he's from a humble background, he will not be president?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Leo. I am of the private sector.
Okay.
We in the private sector have what we call CV, the curriculum vitae.
Okay.
Before we recruit you for a top job, we go through your CV. You must have a CV. Somebody who is hungry, it is automatic that he does not have a CV to present, a sumptuous CV. Because if you have a sumptuous CV, you should not be hungry. You should be able to pay your bills. Okay? What I am saying here, I'm not saying that we need, we needed a rich person, we should go for Baba Dan Polo. We should go for Baba Dan Polo and the rich billionaires in this country. But our champion is not even among the first 1,000 richest people in this country. We just said we needed somebody who is well to do. When you look at him, he's a family man. He has a house in his name. He has a small car in his name. He can feed his children, can go to school. The basics. That is what I said. I did not say we needed somebody who has conglomerates. No. You people should not mix things. Now, I want to make it clear, the disgruntled militant. I know why the militant is not happy. As I earlier tried to explain, Frankist movement is not CPDM. Frankist is bigger than CPDM in terms of structure. Frankist encompasses so many parties. Within the Frankists, we have CPDM. Within the Frankists, we have SDF. We have people from different political parties. That what makes up the movement. So when a militant, for example, who is not from my party, the CPDM, finds me talk about the CPDM, it is but normal. Because that is not what the movement is all about. Okay? So Frankist movement is not CPDM. I want to make it clear. But within the Frankist movement, we have people from different political parties who are within the Frankist movement. I want to say here, Lena has been talking of a fair political leverage.
That's the problem with the debate. You guys spend time responding to one another, and it's really.
Okay, let me forget about that. Prof here said it's time for the youth to come up powerfully and take their responsibility into their hands. I want to make it clear. The President of the Republic, President Paul Biya, on the 10th of February 2021, talked about a generational transition. In essence, what does that mean? The president is informing the youth of Cameroon that I am about to leave. You people should get prepared and take over the political leadership. On the 10th of February again, this year, 2023, the president addressed the youth. He said, I have come to realize that you people are intelligent youths, you people are talented youths, you are skillful youths. Organize yourselves. We of the Frankist movement, we are Cameroonian youths that will have decided to take our destiny into our own hands and organize ourselves and ensure that a youth candidate stands in for the presidential election. We cannot continue to count on parties like PAP, because if I ask them what happened to the Northwest and the Southwest, they could not present a candidate for the senatorial elections. No councillor, no council in their name, no member of parliament. They are not serious. We are tired of youths who rant ABC model, accusing, blaming, and complaining. We are tired. We of the Frankist movement, I want to make it clear, our ideology is to encourage youths get into political leadership at all levels.
But he's already into politics. You are encouraging that, and that is what Fabrice is doing.
No, I think that they are not having the results we expect.
Yeah, it's not for you to judge. Let them
yes.
except you are now a member of PAP.
To am I case?
To evaluate.
To do what there?
Okay. Please, Obosso, please, just wait. Good evening, Mr. Leo, and the panelists. Nice educative program. Lista Montana is writing from Yaoundé, one of the #1 fans of this program. Lista, please extend our love to your mother out there watching also from Yaoundé. Mr. Leo, there is too much noise in the studio. Please bring peace between the two SGs, okay? Mr. Leo, good evening. I'm happy about the topic. Okay. Please, Mr. Leo, try to keep order. Emil is writing from Jotin. Good evening to you, Mr. Alpha. Valentine, Asha, Mr. Leo, the Almighty God, who is the game changer, is watching the game. Okay. Thank you, and glad to note that many of you are watching the program. Fabrice Lena, now, what should the opposition be doing to ensure that we don't spend time talking about this in maybe after 2025 or in some years to come? Because talking is one thing, but getting what we want to happen done is also another ball game.
I want to first of all present the spectrum of opposition strength to Cameroonians and Africans watching this program, because there is a lot of misjudgment and misconception about oppositions in Cameroon in particular and in Africa in general. Oppositions like myself, the Popular Action Party as a party, is working within a very difficult and complex environment. This is what people should first of all know. Because many people talk, but many people will not want to identify themselves with a party that is opposing a system that has stayed for long in power. We do not have equal accessibility to state resources. We do not have equal accessibility to state services. We do not have equal accessibility to electoral process and political activities within the country. You Cameroonian people are witness to how 2018 presidential elections were conducted. You are witness to how 2020 local elections were conducted. Now tell me, how do you want the Popular Action Party in 2018 at the midst of bloodshed that was caused by the same people in power to go in for elections? How will that happen? What elections? When other people are protected and others are not protected, when we are going into a competition with unequal standings, and then you want to come and say oppositions are not doing enough. You people should look at the context of opposition's operation. Look at the context. If today, Mr. Leo, I have the capacity as the Secretary General of PAP to organize meetings with all the students of faculties of law and political science in Cameroon, Once the number of these students starts to get to 1,100, I start having a lot of justifications from DO, SDO, governor. This is what I go through every day because I own a leadership foundation and I coach young people on leadership. But when it comes to someone from the other side who supports the system in place, he has easy access, he has easy leverage. It becomes unequal balance. This is where the problem lies. Because if we don't have equal competitive means and strategies and rules, how do you expect me? Unless you want my blood. And that is what I think some of the people want from the opposition. You can't talk of opposition in that manner when opposition do not have equal ability. In terms of finance, in real democracies, finances of party come from contributions by militants and the population and sympathizers. In Cameroon, the party in power has hijacked all economic operators to their side, religious authorities to their side, traditional authorities to their side, and even warned partners of the country not to be with the opposition. And how do you want the opposition to cope in this kind of context? This is the context in which we are operating. Our only resource is the population. And the population comes here as a result of the number that we are talking about in politics. Because these people carrying out all these activities is just a group of people that have understood that subjugating the people means tightening the rules for others who don't favor us and making it flexible for those who favor us. And therefore, let's keep on reigning. And this is exactly the situation in our country.
But Fabrice,
if we have to prevent, Mr. Leo, these succession policies in Africa, the first thing we have to start looking at is the basics of what we call respect of constitution. If we sit down as a country and agree that the president have to be in power for 7 years renewable ones, that means the president can stay in power for maximum 40 years. Let us respect that. That is the minimum. If that happens, irrespective of what we talk about Nigeria, Senegal, and the other countries, at least they know consciously that after every 8 years, some other person will have to go for another person to come. I always say this: God did not give the monopoly of management of a country in the hands of a single person or a single political party. And if we obtain limit in constitutional limit in office mandate of the president and other offices, if the appointive system is completely abolished, because this appointive system is even our real problem. When the president appoints minister, the governors are appointed, government delegates are appointed, SGOs right up to. When they talk about municipal councillors, parliamentarians, and elected officials, these people, what real power do they even have in city mayors? Even the city mayors.
City mayors are elected, they are not appointed.
That's what I'm saying, Mr. Leo. What powers do they have? What are they actually doing on the ground? You know, power is not, when they talk of exercising power over a people, it is not about language and propaganda. My brother talk about ranting. If there is a party that is ranting, I think CBDM and whatsoever branch of that party, they are the one ranting. For the past 40 years, Mr. Leo, can we talk of mega infrastructures in this country? Can we talk of mega infrastructures in this country that CBDM can be proud of? Can we talk of the level of youth employment? Are we talking about CPDM here? Can we talk about? No, he mentioned.
No, are you answering my question,
I'm answering your question. I'm clarifying people who are watching us. If someone is an adversary, we have to clarify what the people declare.
You clarify for 7 minutes without answering my question, Fabrice.
Mr. Liu, I've already answered your question, and I think I've said a lot on what you asked me. Because you asked about opposition doing. I have already clarified on the context of opposition.
You have not given any strategy that you have put in place. You have just given that we have not done this because, we have not done this because, we have not done this because. You have not told me any strategy.
We should obtain limits to office mandate. That is a strategy. But that is a strategy. What do you want to obtain more? If we have limit to office mandate, that's the first thing, Mr. Leo. No, what do you want? What do you want? But what do you want me to say? I don't know if you want us to go invest. Those are basic things. If today a president comes in power in Cameroon, after 10 years the person is leaving, that's the first step towards obtaining.
That is what the problem is. The problem is, Dr. Ako. what Fabrice is saying is what the opposition has done for the past 30 years. We want free and fair elections. We want a more independent electoral code. All of that. That is what we have been saying. But we are talking about a situation of stopping something from happening. And you I don't know. Are we saying that?
Mr. Aliu, I don't know.
Please, no. Please. Fabrice, please. Fabrice, please. Fabrice, I'm asking a question to some other person. I'm saying that, are we concluding from this set that the opposition is helpless because
no, the opposition is not helpless, Mr. Aliu, please. You cannot say opposition is helpless. No, seriously.
Mr. Leonard,
you cannot say opposition is helpless. Opposition is doing a lot in Cameroon every day.
Mr.
I can
Leonard,
give you the results. Mr. Aliu should not say we are helpless. No,
Leonard,
that's a wrong statement to use.
There is something I want us to understand.
Because when he said I've not produced any strategy, that's first of all wrong. I said if we obtain limits to constitutional mandate, who do you think we obtain? Is it not Cameroonian people? It's not me, Lena, as an individual. I'm also talking to persuade people who understand and think in my own direction for us to galvanize towards that. But you cannot say that I've not proposed anything. I'm only complaining. If the people are not angry enough, they cannot solve any problem.
Fabrice Lena, please. No. We are in a debate now. I am the one moderating. Please.
But you have also been part of the debate, Mr.
No. Because I'm struggling to get you people. The problem is, sincerely, let me tell you something.
Yes,
Fabrice,
sir.
you're a politician.
Yes, sir.
I'm a journalist. You guys are politicians. We come up with topics because people make requests. And when we come up with a topic, we are talking about something for Africa. I've struggled without success to bring you people back to the topic. And when I ask a question, please, it is in line with the topic. Once you are going out and I'm struggling to bring you back, you insist and insist. And at the end of the day, I tell you that the question I ask has not been answered because I'm getting feedback from those who are expecting the persons who watch this program with pens and papers to take notes. But now you guys, you and Obosso, you are there to do political propaganda for your parties. Exactly what you have done, please. Because nobody is answering the questions I'm asking. Doctor, I'm talking about the fact that the opposition is... Can we conclude that the opposition is helpless? Because even if you have to change the system to say we are putting limit money, that will be after you have taken power now.
Obviously.
So how do you even take the power when you don't hope of taking power? Because what you are saying is what is going to obtain when you eventually take power. But we are talking about a situation where you put strategies to take the power.
Yeah, a lot, I will not deny, a lot has changed in Africa for the last 30 years. I want to start with the example of constituting a nation like Nigeria. You know how many coup d'etats we noticed in Nigeria in the past. They embrace multipartism within the year 1999, and where Nigeria is today is something else politically. Or you could equally think of a country around, we are talking of Chad, even though still struggling. You know, so a lot of people don't even know that Chad is a military rule. It's a military government from inception. Again, you find places like Gabon, or what we just realized in Kenya. You can imagine what the opposition there suffered, the muscling of opposition leaders, and how the ruling party still came out victorious. We are considering the situation within other African countries. If you look the Francophonie side of Africa, you may feel like opposition is not doing something. They are getting successful. We are talking of a situation like that in Tanzania, where political parties and oppositions have become very successful. We are talking of a situation like that in Ghana, where even though the sitting president has even no possibility somewhere, people are saying it seems Ghanaians have decided not to give a second mandate, even when the constitution has stipulated that two mandate or renewable, one mandate renewable once. Ghanaians are no longer even accepting that you should even sit for a second mandate. You come for your first term and they vote you out the next election. That is when we have, I will tell you that, stronger institutions. When institutions are there to save the nation. Several times, I've said in Africa, ruling parties have turned political institutions to their favor. They appoint, they dismiss, they appreciate, and they promote. This has caused a lot of indignation even on those who are called members of government. Because there's a difference between government and politics or party militants. we are going to work for the government is a state. Party militants or a particular ruling party may disappear after a particular mandate. But when you mix government and political institutions of a particular party in power, like we find in Cameroon, like we have seen Togo, like you might have found in Congo of Denis Sassou Nguesso, and many others, it becomes very difficult. We are not forgetting the case in Equatorial Guinea. What will opposition do when militants who are supposed to be protecting the state becoming more protective of what they are eating? I mean, in a nation where military people can't go on retirement, they have everlasting budget. What are you thinking? When you come to a nation where several times the programs of the opposition are highly censored, when that of the ruling party, they have free liberty. That's what Obosso they are doing now. One of the things maybe they should know is that the space they enjoy, the liberty they enjoy now, not every other political party has that enjoyment. Every other political party has that liberty. Some have announced just a small meeting in a house, they have been arrested. But now we see popular movement from that Frankist movement, they are going them freely and carry on their banner left and right. Not everybody has that. Opposition have been doing a lot. Otherwise, the souls and the likes of people like Neil John Frundi cannot be pressed out of the frontiers of Cameroon. The souls and dying minds of some people we have seen like Akeremuna cannot be going very far. A lot they have been doing. The Mois Kamto, they're doing heavily. But the muscling system too is not permitting. Remember that. He who pays the piper calls the tune. The situation in Cameroon might have been on a standstill, but other African countries have advanced. Yeah. That's what I'm just saying. Yeah, presently,
that's where I want us.
Yes, I said that for Cameroon.
Yeah, because
others have moved ahead.
Because before what came to power in Senegal, he was in the opposition for over 30 years. Struggling to take power.
That is what I'm saying. When you find,
but finally he went to.
When you find yourself in a nation where the institution, not the leaders, permits things to go the way they went in Ghana or in Nigeria. Remember, I want people to know that Obasanjo had the intention of revising this constitution to stand for the third term, but stronger institutions advised him. I mean, the Senate and the House of Chiefs told him that if there is anything wrong with the constitution, they will do that after he leaves.
Okay.
It will be difficult for you to have that in Francophonie Africa because the leaders are the institution. The political parties are the institution. How do they change the institution when they are not ready to change?
Okay. Mr. Liu, after the program, go do some checkup and get some rest. I will do that. Yes, difficult today. Good evening, Mr. Liu. I think the oppositions themselves are not serious. Let them join together and form one with a common interest, that they will build a firm and stiff competition to the ruling party. Let the opposition stop confusing us, the Cameroonians, with the various unserious parties. Brandon is writing from Boya. I love my country, Cameroon. Mundi Joel is writing there. Good evening, Mr. Liu. And Leonard panelists, your moderation expertise is worth emulating. Truth be told, your choice of panelists are exceptionally good in what they defend personally. I think this topic is too broad and current to be all discussed today. We need another day for this same topic. Anyere Desmond Nde is writing from Boya. Good evening to the team on duty. I'm really enjoying the program. I think disunity and greed has greatly affected the opposition here in Cameroon. The party in power is gaining grounds because they have been unable to solve their differences with them, fight back as one. Shocking to see the type of fight coming out from the camp of the opposition at the eve of elections is quite difficult to understand. Okay. Henry is writing from Yaoundé. Good evening to you, Henry. Good evening, Mr. Leo. The program today is very interesting. Courage to you and all the panelists in the studio. Okay, our leadership has failed us. I cry in my spirit for my people when I listen to what some of you guys are saying there in the studio. Good evening, Mr. Leo. Please tell a person of Frankist movement to respect Cameroonian youths. Yuk is writing from Limburg. This one says, I do not understand what you guys are doing in that studio today. Okay, this one says, where was the opposition when the ruling party was taking religious, economic and social leaders in their side? Okay, where was the opposition in 1992? Where was the opposition when we have diverse interests? Which opposition party can claim to have done even 10% beneficial projects in Cameroon? Where was the opposition when the constitution was and had been in constant change to the extent of unlimited mandate? Mr. Liu, the problem in this country is the opposition parties' greed, power, and the selfishness seems to be their concern. Ekome is writing from Kumba. Mr. Liu and the crew, good evening. With regards to today's topic, I want to say that what we need now is to scrape out the electoral body that organizes elections, because it's been appointed by the ruling party. No one can bite the finger that fits him. Put in place a credible electoral body which is not appointed by a ruling party. Secondly, that trash of putting in place a rich president, okay, is not what Cameroonian needs today. Okay, Prince Obosso, I don't know, you are the one talking, or is this Fabrice? I'm the one. Okay, Prince, you are of the opinion that competent young people have the right to succeed their parents who have been presidents, but it is also very difficult for African youth to believe this. They think that other persons should be given opportunity to rule nations across the continent. How do you get young people who do not buy into this rhetoric of fathers handing over to sons to believe in what you say?
Okay, when you say father handing over to son, when you people say father to son, it is not the context of Cameroon. I want to talk about the context of Cameroon, that in Gabon, that in Togo, and that even in Chad. No president has got up and said, even in Chad or in Gabon or in Togo, Eyadema is president today.
The father died.
The father died. The father did not say, after me is my son. Can we say those children are courageous? Can we say those children are winners? Just as I declare myself and they accuse me of self-aggrandizement. Can we say they are bold enough to withstand the challenges and take to the responsibilities? Please, there is no father to son in Cameroon. We cannot accept that. In Cameroon, we have democracy. And we are going to respect our constitution. From Biada, we are calling. We are still calling. We are still calling him to come in powerfully and stand for the youths, because we want our interests to be protected. If he answers our call, God willing, he will not be the only candidate. There will be other youth candidates. And the youths of Cameroon will decide. They will decide through the ballot box. And that is why we continue to place a clarion call to the youths of Cameroon. That is why you see people are asking for my number. Because we are in the field doing campaign.
No, campaign.
We are in the field doing sensitization, door to door, telling them that the president have said we are intelligent youths. Let us organize ourselves. This is a movement that we have created. I am a youth. I am the SG. My coordinator is still a youth. He is a national coordinator. You people should come in. Let us form one big front and present a candidate. Let us not sit when I see a vibrant, intelligent young man like Lena who decides to join politics, and all what he can do is to cry. We don't have the same opportunities. We don't have the same this. When I say me, I'm a winner, he thinks that I'm doing self-aggrandizement. I don't go into politics to complain. I go to politics to take. Power is not giving. Power is taking. That is why he said we are having all the chances we have. No. During the visits of the Macron, We came out powerfully in Yaoundé. Our militants were arrested and they were sent to prison. We fought so hard to release them.
They were released.
We fought so hard.
They were released.
To release them. So it's to tell you that the Frankist movement, we don't have the liberty that some of you want to think that it's a movement that is pro-government. No. Up till now, we have deposited our files for authorization in the Ministry of Territorial Administration. It's how many years? We have written letters of reminders. It's how many years? Have they given the authorization? No. But we push on. We push on because Obosso is a winner. I don't go into politics to fail. I go to take.
Okay.
And that is what we are doing.
Prince, my question to you was how you're mobilizing youth. I don't know. That is how you are mobilizing them.
The way we mobilize, this is what we do. We have an objective to get to 10 million youths before 2025.
Yeah, but how do you convince them to buy into the idea of voting the son of a president to take over the power, the father?
We make them understand that it's not an issue of the son. President Biya has not prepared any child. That is why up to date, Frank Biya is not in his government. He has never served in his government. People were saying, oh, you will be appointed senator. I laughed. He will never serve in any government in this country. The father, if he wants to do politics, the father have told him outrightly, go and do your politics. You remain my son. My government does not concern you.
You talk as if you are the big brother of President Paul Biya, or you belong to the
no. What I'm trying to say is because you people are only trying to develop the idea in the youths that President Biya is preparing somebody. No, we are calling on Frambia. We the youths of Cameroon. I say we are 2 million. I can use it. There is inductive reasoning in logic.
You members of Frankist, or you the youth of the Frankist? Because not every
because we kept across the 10 regions of this country, Europe and America. Okay. So when I say youths of we the youths, it is because of the number. I can tell you confidentially that after the CPDM, in terms of militants, is the Frankist.
Okay.
I can tell you confidentially.
Yeah, but how do you compare a party with a movement?
That's what I'm telling you. It's just to tell you that we that just came 3 years ago in 2020, we can boast of 2 million registered members in our data.
Yeah, but you are not a political party. Why are you comparing with the CPDM?
No, because we are not a political party, but we are a political association. All of us are into politics, so we have where we meet.
Please.
We have where we meet.
Fabrice, let's look at an appraisal of how sons who took over from their fathers have changed the destinies of their respective nations. Can we say that Africa is proud of the guys who took over from their fathers?
These things are relative. It's relative. It varies from person to person, because if you want to give a general analysis, someone will tell you you're wrong, because a Congolese in DRC is in the best place to evaluate Kabila, whether he did well after his father or not, and a Congolese is still better to evaluate Tshisekedi the son, whether he's doing better or following the vision of his father that he established.
His father has never been president.
Yes, of course. I'm not saying you should have allowed me to learn. I'm not saying that they are evaluating him based on whether his father was president, whether he's following the ideology of his father as opposition in DRC. And in Togo, Togolese are in the best place to evaluate foreign Yashimbe. In Cameroon, it has not happened, so there is no appraisal or any evaluation whatsoever. Rather, we are concerned about how tomorrow will look like in Cameroon. And that's why when we make the Africa analysis, we come back to Cameroon, because we are in Cameroon, we are Cameroonians, and we are young people. It's our future, so we are more concerned about it. Always, most of the time in Africa, it's always say, you should clean your own house before advising your neighbor to clean his veranda. So it's important for us to first of all set our own compound, like prepare our own self. Like, what about us? We are just 24 months away from the general elections according to the electoral calendar, because Elecam calendar shows that the last elections were in October 2018 for presidential elections and February 2020 for local elections, which means if the calendars don't change, we are expecting these elections the same date in 2025, or if they change depending on when electoral college is called, we have to adapt to that. So principally, we are trying to let Cameroonian youth understand that we of the Popular Action Party is against any unconstitutional transfer of power, and we say that respect of constitution is the foundation of democracy, and we should be very keen on our constitution. If many things are happening in the country and people are not rising, it's because people are fed up. You know, there is a theory who says when people don't react to situations that are affecting them negatively, is either the people are disillusioned or completely discontent, or they are helpless, you know. But in our situation, I would say we of the Popular Action Party are telling the Cameroonian youth, every people deserve the leader they got and deserve what happens to their country. It's up to you to look at what is happening in Cameroon and choose your own path. I always tell people that I am making my own contribution to nation building. I am doing my own work that I can do, and I expect you on your own part to do your own, because there will be a time for balance sheet in this country where we will all sit on the table and ask, what did you do and what were you doing, what were you not doing? It's not just to sit and talk. I think for many people who have been following me for the past years, I am not just one of the people who come to media to talk. If I come to media platform once, I make sure I go to the field twice, and if I come to the media twice, I make sure I go to the field 10 times. And that is why those with whom I'm working on voters registration campaign can attest to this. Those who are working on civic education can attest to this, because there are a lot of basic things that Cameroonians don't know, and many people who always send messages during my Media Prime program. There's even a time where it's a proposal I'm giving to Mr. Liu and the crew that those who are writing should indicate whether they have voters registration card or not. That's the first necessary element.
We have had this discussion severally, because many persons will talk and they don't understand how difficult it is.
Exactly. Yeah. You know, so the thing is that people should first of all know that there are what we call individual responsibilities that you have to take. It's not sufficient to start judging, oh, okay, the ruling party is this, the opposition is this, the civil society is this. What is your own contribution? If the country is failing, it is because there is no collective effort. It's not because opposition has failed. No. It's not because civil society has failed. No. Because the population makes up the opposition. Opposition is part of the population. Civil society is part of the population. The ruling party is part of the population. So the population is who? Is the general public of people who in one way or the other have failed to meet up to their responsibility. And when you have failed to meet up to your responsibility, the highest thing is to own up and say, yes, at this point, I have not done this, I have not done that, let me do it. Get your voter's card. That's the first arm you have. We have never had more than 10 million people registered in Cameroon's electorally since our multipartism. We are urging young people to get their voters card. The second thing is to choose a local political leader at the level of councils, at the level of municipalities, and then look at people who have agenda, ideology, not people who are coming to present money, flashy cars, and all those things. Those are things that, those are the kind of politics that we will not want to encourage at this time. We should vote vision. We should vote ideology. We should vote people that are able to change the narrative of a country. And we should understand how electoral process goes on. Because many people don't understand that it's not sufficient as a militant of PAP to vote a PAP candidate. The most important thing is PAP vote protected? Is PAP candidate going to win? You have to follow the process up to the end. That is the most important thing. And then you will have to stand by, because when some people always talk about protest, you must always have sufficient reason to do a protest that will work. That's why protests in Cameroon in 2018 and 19 were able to work, because we were just from electoral fraud. So people could use electoral hold-up as a means to protest. But you cannot just get up like that and then you are protesting without tangible reasons or enough reasons. We are calling on people to register massively, to mobilize themselves, to look for a political party, because after 2025, if things go wrong, we will have enough reason to protest. We will have enough reasons to do mobilization and protest. So those are the basic things we as Popular Action Party are telling Cameroonians, to avoid the predicament of other countries to happen to our dear and beloved country, Cameroon. So I am talking on behalf of Popular Action Party, on behalf of militant of Popular Action Party, but also calling Cameroonian people who are listening to be keen, because 2025 is very decisive period in this country.
Good evening, Mr. Leo and panelists on board. It's with keen attention I follow the debate. I am very comfortable with the powerful points put forth by SG Frankist movement. The Frankist movement is a game changer. I say so because from the way the bureau are structured in the movement, there is inclusiveness in the vision. When a vision is inclusive, it can be a game changer. Akaragwe Donat is writing from Bamenda. I read this because you kept writing that I must read your message. I must read your message. There are so many persons requesting for Prince Obosso's number. Please, can you write that after the program? I cannot be sending the numbers now. Just write to me after the program. But a lot of persons also are asking for the opposition to come together. Dr. Ako, lots of messages, they say, opposition, please, can you not come together? Can you not come together?
It is sad. Opposition can still come together and nothing changes. A lot are not equally aware, like we have been saying here several times, that in Africa, the ruling party is in opposition. What people call opposition, I believe those of Cameroon, they should not forget that we have the Big 20, the major opposition parties that join with the CPDM to rule Cameroon. You find ministers who are not members of the CPDM in government. Some people too have not forgotten that in the last election in 2018, we have youth movement, 35 of them, that went to Yaoundé, had a meeting, then wrote a communique to the presidency. They are equally in support of the CPDM. What people don't know, opposition coming together is equally on the counter politics of the ruling party, that coming together might be a force, and so they do everything to dismantle it. There are some people presently we find as parties whose money was sponsored and paid by the ruling party to participate in the same election. Can you imagine election in Cameroon with 21 or 16 candidates in electoral college of 4 million or 7 million registered voters?
Yeah, but
Mr. Leo, I'm telling you that.
Yeah, but now what you are saying is very pertinent,
okay,
right? Now, if Fabrice Lena PAP knows that the government, like you say, is sponsoring opposition, the SDF knows that the UNDP, the ANDP, the CRM, and
coalition parties.
Yeah, but if they know that the government is working to destabilize them, they know this, like you are saying, and are allowing themselves for government to manipulate them. What then is the essence of creating these parties?
You get it right. That is where you are right now. That is the reason why Obosso is here. Hunger politics. Okay. People create platform for visibility,
okay,
and to create a background to counter and negotiate for political positioning. People are not talking of any other thing. It's not taking Cameroon forward. The 350 political parties in Cameroon are not fighting to take power. They are simply fighting for identification. So and you know that.
So that the government can negotiate.
That is what they are doing now. You know a lot that have gained such appointment because they have been identified as opposition. They can now sing for us. And that is why the government appointed them. You have seen a lot of people in government who today are ministers, while yesterday they parade the streets of Yaoundé and Douala as opposition leaders. And you ask under which level were they appointed. When you play politics, I'm telling you today that a lot of youths of this nation including top-ranking professors and doctors, have been frustrated by hunger, by the might to make it big from the government. Nobody has a sense of leading a nation, but leading family problems. This is where we are. If you find even now that people will tell you that the constitution of this nation guarantees every citizen of this nation to become a leader, and then somebody who is at the top tells you that my son will stand, and then you still find some youths clamoring that it should be, it is a failure. This is hunger. They have used hunger as a strategy to press over. People cried. Remember the conflict at the level of the SDF. A lot of militants are asking, where is the parliamentary candidate presidential budget for election given by the Minister of State? People are quarreling over scrums. This is why oppositions are individual problems in Cameroon. He mentioned it. He said Jangi group, which means even Frankie's movement is part of the Jangis. And everybody is contributing so that tomorrow he'll be identified. It's a lot of these things. We accept them. Okay. And they know very well. It's identification of individual problems at the level put in front called political parties.
Okay. We have just 3 more minutes to go. I'll give each person 1 minute to conclude. Prince, Obosso?
Okay, yeah. If I have to conclude, I have...
The future of Africa.
Yeah. If I have to conclude, I have one message for the youths of this country.
Africa.
And Africa at large. The ABC model, accusing, blaming, and complaining will not lead us anywhere. The professor has been talking here. What has he been saying? Hungry politics, accusing, all a generation spend their time to be accusing, insulting. You don't take power by insults. Power is in the field. I am placing a clarion call to all the youth of this country, in particular. The Frankist movement is here. Let them all come together so that we can build what I call the wall of Jericho. So that we can stand as a youth and take over the political leadership of this country only after President Paul Biya, because he has given us the mandate to organize ourselves and take over after he is gone. Thank you.
Okay. What's the future for African youth? Because persons like you, I see you go to Ngaoundéré, to the north. You were even arrested in Douala some months back, and you're doing everything. You walk the streets of Limbe, struggling to get persons register you because you believe that if they register in their numbers, they can change the game. But many persons would throw stones at you and wanting to give you some lessons. Isn't it also frustrating for a young politician that you are?
It's not easy. It's not easy, Mr. Leo, you know. Sometimes you have to do personal evaluation of whether you should give up or continue as an opposition youth politician in the country in a complex situation. I always call it complex situation because the dynamics are really, really very difficult. Yeah, many people nowadays, because we are in a capitalist world, are only into what benefit will I have, what's the immediate benefit, who is in front of this, who is sponsoring you, who is behind that, who is this and who is that. You know, many people also thought that I would give up because many were expecting that, this Leonard Lada is looking for his own way. And many are surprised that up to now I've not yet been appointed anywhere. And many are surprised I've not yet belonged to any commission. And many are also surprised that I went to Europe and came back, because when I was in Europe, in Berlin, some people thought that, I was looking for paper to go abroad. Please, I am here in Cameroon, and I am not going anywhere. If I'm going out of the country, it's for a conference, a meeting to mobilize my diaspora base and come back. And let me tell you, I'm not one of those youths that will pick crumbs from the table of others who are deciding and distributing the resources of the country the way they want to do. I want a full menu of rights in this country, where I am also a stakeholder deciding on the political narrative of the country. I am not going to mortgage my future. We of the Popular Action Party have a clear political agenda. We are struggling to obtain for every young Cameroonian a new federal republic where we will have voted governors, we will have a voted president, unlimited presidential term office, and we will have strong institutions that will guard against any manipulation of the institutions of the country. This is our vision. This is what we are fighting for. And upon this, you should mark my words and judge me in future as a young politician.
Okay, you want to say like the other said that je ne vous trahirai.
No, I'm not the others. I am Fabrice. let me say like Sankara said, je ne suis pas l'homme de la Libye. Je suis Sankara. Je suis Fabrice Lena. Je ne suis pas l'autre l'homme qui avait dit que non.
Good evening to all. Frank Biya is a Cameroonian like any other Cameroonian with full rights to run as president candidate. Okay. If he meets the needs laid down by the Constitution, why would anyone castigate him because his father is the president? Succession started in the Western world with Bush and Sons. Once there is constitutionality, let the ballot box speak for the candidates. Ikome, PRO, Southwest Frankist, writing there, okay? This one says, good evening, Mr. Leo. I'm really enjoying the program. Please, Mr. Leo, for Mr. Obosso's number, I would like to join the Frankist movement. Okay. Write to me after the program. Good evening, Mr. Leo and the panelist, Prince Obosso. Why calling on Frank Biya? Why not Prince Obosso? Samuel is writing from Limbe. Voila. Yes. Good evening, Mr. Leo. More grace to your elbows in educating Cameroonians through this program of yours, my media prime. Thank you very much. Oops. Good evening, Mr. Leo, please, for his number. Okay. Good evening, Mr. Leo. Thanks so much for this very educative topic. Please tell Dr. Ako I can't wait to meet him. When I need wisdom, I think of him because he speaks wisdom. And okay, I'm Kulom Marcel Iwi, writing from Bomaka Boya. Please, I need my mentor's number. So you just give him your number. We want to thank all of you who took time to watch today's edition of the program. And also to you, Desmond and Eli, we are very grateful for the job you guys are doing. Tabi Tambe Bryant, we thank you for always supervising. Tomorrow on Prime R, we're going to be looking at what is trending on social media between Morocco's top soccer star, who is set to be having problems with the wife who wants a divorce and is requesting for the sharing of their property, only to be told by the courts that most of almost everything that the soccer star had has been lodged under the name of the mother. So we're going to be looking at how husbands and wives are doing with their property, joint property. Some persons deceitful in actually sharing the information of their property with their partners. Please don't fail to be part of tomorrow's rendezvous of Prime on My Media Prime. Thank you all for watching. Stay blessed. Bye-bye.
Welcome to